Welcome back to Sioux Sports Corner. Glad you can tune back in. I've got my notes ready, so let's get into the numbers. All right, folks. We are reviewing the Cowboys versus New York Football Giants game on Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys win 20-15. That was the seventh straight win for the Cowboys. That's actually 14 of the last 15 games the Cowboys have beaten the Giants. Too bad the Giants aren't always on our schedules, or we'd always be champions. But that's not the case, and we are not always champions. Been almost 30 years since we've been champions, but anyways. Dallas is 2-2 for the season. The Giants are 1-3. The Cowboys are 2-0 on the road, and the Giants are 0-2. Unfortunately for the Cowboys, their 2-0 record on the road is not that great because they beat Cleveland and the New York Football Giants. All right. So let's go with team stats. Let's go with first downs. First downs, Cowboys had 14. The New York Giants had 16. And passing first downs, the Cowboys had 9. The New York Giants had 12. Rushing first downs, the Cowboys had 5. The New York Giants had 4. Third down efficiency, the Cowboys were 3 for 10 on first down, while the Giants were 5 for 16. Two terrible teams. Fourth down efficiency, the Cowboys were 1 for 1. The Giants were 3 for 4. Total plays, the Cowboys had 51. The Giants had 65. Total yards, Cowboys had 293 total yards versus 303 from the Giants. And they both had 9 total drives. Yards per play, Cowboys were 5.7 yards per play, while the Giants were 4.7 yards per play. Passing wise for the total team, Cowboys were 22 of 27 for 7.6 average. That's 213 yards. The New York Football Giants were 29 for 40, 277 yards, 6.8 average. They also threw an interception. They were 29 for 40. I don't know if I covered that. Rushing wise total, the Giants had 24 rushes for 26 yards for a 1.1 average. And I didn't think the Cowboys could have a worse average, but hello, New York Football Giants. And the Cowboys rushing were 23 rushes for 80 yards, 3.5 average, which it's not a bad average, but against the Giants it could be better. But we are talking about the Cowboys who can't run themselves out of a wet paper sack. So there you go. Red zone wise, Cowboys were 1 for 1. The Giants were 0 for 2. If the Giants were any better in the red zone, this game would probably be a lot different. I believe they had 4th and 3, and then they were also 4th and 8 on the 20. But if the Giants could at least capitalize a little bit better on their red zone offense, and this might have been a different story for the Cowboys. Penalties, Cowboys were bad, 11 for 89. The Giants were much better than the Cowboys at 4 penalties for 35 yards. Again, Giants had 1 turnover. Time of possession, the Cowboys had the ball for 24 minutes, 23 seconds, versus the Giants 35 minutes and 37 seconds of possession. That's what running can do, but the Giants are terrible at running, but they can still run the clock down. All right, so let's go individual stats here. The Giants offense, Daniel Jones himself was 29 for 40, 281 yards. That's a 7.0 average. 0 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. He got sacked once for 4 yards, and his QBR was 59.8. Terrible. If the Giants had a better quarterback, they would have easily won this game. That's how bad the Cowboys are. Okay. His rating was 81.4. The running game, Devin Singletary, he had 14 carries for 24 yards, a 1.7 average, not good. His longest of 5 yards. Daniel Jones, he had 4 carries, 3 yards, 0.8 average, very terrible. 5 yards was also his longest. Receiving wise, now if you watched my preview of this game, you would have known I would talk about Malik Neighbors, okay, the rookie from LSU. He's very good. He had 12 receptions for 115 yards. That's 9.6 average, as long as it was 37 yards. He was targeted 15 times. Wan'Dale Robinson, again, we talked about him. 14 targets for 11 catches, 71 yards, 6.5 average. Had 11 yard was his longest reception. And Darius Slayton, he was 3 for 56 yards, 18.7 average. And he had a 28 longest catch, and he had 5 targets. All right, so What about the Giants defense individually? All right, Taylor Newbin, 8 total tackles, 6 solo. Micah McFadden, 8 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 tackle for loss. And Kayvon Thibodeau had 1 sack. All right, so total, they have 53 total tackles, 37 solo, 1 sack, and they have 5 tackles for loss with 3 quarterback hits on the day. All right, so let's talk about the offense individually. Let's talk about the Cowboys offense individually a little bit. Dak Prescott was 22 for 27, 221 yards, 8.2 average. He had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had 1 sack for 8 yards. His QBR was a 74.0, and his rating was a 125.5. He was very efficient against a terrible Giants team. So take that with however you want. But he was terrible against a very terrible team. I mean, he was good versus a very terrible team. So, that's what you get. Running game. This Cowboy running game is still not great, but it was better against a terrible Giants run defense. Rico Dowdle had 11 carries for 46 yards. He had a 4.2 average. He had a 9-yard longest run. Zeke, again, terrible. 5 for 19 yards, 3.8 average. His longest was 8. Receiving-wise, CD, average game. He 7 receptions, 98 yards, 14-yard average. He had 1 touchdown. He had a 55-yard longest receiving catch. He was targeted 8 times. Jake Ferguson, he came up with 7 catches, 49 yards, 7.0 average. His longest reception was 9 yards. He was targeted 7 times. Defensive wise, as we always talk about when it comes to Dallas defense, Eric Kendricks is top dog. He had 13 total tackles, 6 solo. DeMarvion Overshown, he had a good game, 8 total tackles, 6 solo. And probably the best player on the, no, I'm sorry, not the best player on the team, but the player who had the best game so far this season, and maybe his career, Mozzie Smith. Let's see here, 3 total tackles, 2 solo, and 1 tackle for loss. This year, guys, he's had 6 total tackles, 5 solo in 3 games, and yesterday he had 3 of those 6 tackles and 2 of those solo at 5. So he had his best output so far this year and probably his career. Last year he played 17 total games with 13 total tackles and 9 solo last year alone. Terrible. So he's on pace for 26 tackles and 21 solo tackles. So if we can just get him to get a sack or 2 or maybe 3 this year and a few more tackles for loss, then he will have played better. But he's a first-round draft pick, okay? We expect more in games like this all the time. At least getting 4 or 5 tackles a game. He needs to start picking it up. All right, so he's the number 1 draft pick. I believe, what was he, 29th overall, 26, something like that? DeMarcus Lawrence, he had 1 sack, which was his 61st and a half sack for his career. He did leave injured. We'll talk about that in the Cowboys Lions preview game coming up this week. All right. Let's see here. What did Micah Parsons do? He had 2 tackles, 3 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He also hurt his foot. We'll see what his injury is later on this week also. Injuries out of the game was rookie cornerback Kalen Carson. He was out. Backup safety Marquise Bell was out. Both had ankle injuries. Malik Neighbors, I believe he probably got a concussion there toward the end of the game, so he's probably going to be out for a week or 2 for the Giants. But over and all, this game, the Cowboys, they did win. A win is a win on the road. A win is a win at home. But it could have looked better against a terrible team. Cowboys did start out good, but they didn't finish strong. I just can't put my finger on what's wrong with this Cowboy team exactly. I don't know if it's personnel or scheme, but something ain't working right. Something's not good. but they got a real tough stretch coming up. Starting with Detroit and San Francisco, I believe, and they have a week off. This thing could very well be 2-9 here in the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So let's hope not. All right. So if you're still at this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Anything helps for a small-time YouTuber like me. And also, if you like comedy, I have a second channel called The Cecil Show. You can find me over there. Please like, share, and subscribe on that channel too. And till next time, y'all have a great day.